Welcome to 5 Stripe Weekly, everyone. I currently have World Cup fever, but that does not matter because this week we talk about how Atlanta United got an excellent 2-0 win in Columbus, and we talk about a potential new signing for Atlanta United. All that and more coming up.
Welcome to the show, 5 Stripe fam. I'm AJ, this is Tanner McLeod. Before we get into it, become part of the notification squad by hitting the bell next to the subscribe button. So guys, let's get right into that 2-0 win against Columbus Crew at Matt Freese Stadium on Wednesday. And we've erased their 9-game unbeaten streak. And we also are the first team to beat them at home since we did it last year. That's huge. And is the 4-2-3-1, are we friends again?
I certainly hope so. The team looks so much more comfortable playing 4-2-3-1. They control possession. I don't think Columbus had a touch till almost 9 minutes into the game. Yeah. And, you know, Jeff Larentowicz talked about it after the game when he was speaking to Kevin Egan and Jason Longshore about how, you know, defensively, yeah, they played okay, but the fact that they were able to hold onto the ball for so long and not give Columbus a kick of the ball, you know, that's really crucial, especially to do that on the road against a good team who, again, like we said, haven't lost in a year at home, and we're on a 9-match unbeaten run. Right. And, you know, that culminates in creating 2 very good goals, Josef Martinez and Tito Villalba.
Yeah, definitely. And, yeah, I mean, with the Josef Martinez goal, I mean, it seems like it was like a almost training ground like set play that we had already practiced. And, you know, it had Escobar setting a pick essentially so that Josef could run to the back post and relatively easily head it in, but also take a bit of damage. Of course, he you know, he suffered the facial injury, you know, a broken nose, and he had to come off at halftime. A little bit you know, I think he's a warrior for actually even sticking on for the rest of the half after the injury. But
he played for damn near 20 minutes, you know, after breaking his nose and bleeding everywhere and probably barely being able to breathe.
Yeah, exactly. And at halftime, you can see like the waterfall. You know, when he pulled out the nose plug, it's just, oh. So you know, just hopefully he can, you know, he can wear a mask and he'll be okay after this. But and our second goal, a thing of beauty. Oh, absolutely,
just class. Counterattacking to the peak counterattack. I mean,
sure. So Ambrose, he stops a cross, and it basically bounces over fortuitously to Miguel Miron, who just takes it upfield, drives at the defense,
showing his blazing pace for sure.
Yeah, beautiful. And Romario makes a good run to his left to occupy another defender. And Tito just, you know, it's Miggy almost with eyes in the back of his head, because Tito makes a run into space and Miggy just beautifully weights the ball into him, where Tito takes a touch and bam, you know.
A clinical finish.
Oh yeah.
Who knew?
I know, right?
Who knew?
And so I think it's further like how much we miss, you know, Tito, and, you know, just, you know, someone with his pace and, you know, goal scoring ability. I mean, he was double digits last year in both goals and assists. I think we sorely missed him.
Absolutely. But I mean, I think the real thing about this play, regardless of the pass, is the run that Romario Williams made. And Jason Longshore talked about it during the broadcast about how brilliant that run was, because it actually affected almost the entire back line. Because it made the central defender that was on that side have to come closer to Miguel, which forced the guy behind him to close that space as well, which then in turn left even more space open on the right for Tito to occupy and score. And you know, it was a great counterattacking goal. It was beautiful football, and you know, it was an excellent way to cap off a match that Atlanta, to be honest, with the exception of a few defensive errors and LGP living on the edges a couple times, they dominated that team. I mean, Columbus didn't take their chances, but that happens sometimes. See Atlanta United's whole season, in my opinion. But those chances were few and far between, which is not shocking they didn't convert them, because they didn't get a lot of them and they weren't getting them consistently. Higuain, I think, had a pretty good game. He played some pretty good balls into the box. But all said, you know, Atlanta controlled the ball, we're tight enough, and we're clinical in front of goal. And that's how you win games on the road, especially against a playoff caliber team.
Definitely. And I mean, you know, we weren't perfect, as we were saying, but yeah, Columbus, they definitely could have done better. I mean, I think I saw some comments of people saying that we got lucky. I wouldn't say quite that. I mean, I think we were definitely way more clinical than I think we're used to lately. But yeah, I think that's the difference is, we put away our chances and Columbus Crew did not.
And I think for me, one of the most interesting things was towards the end of that game, Atlanta had switched back to a 3-5-2 to see out the match, where they're like, all right, we're going to pull things back a bit, be a bit more defensively sound. And the ability to change formations that well and do that well in game away from home is incredible. You don't see a lot of MLS teams able to do that, but Tata Martino clearly has his team drilled well for them to be, to switch so quickly. And they did a great job. And that's something that makes me very confident in them being able to see out matches, later in the season and in the playoffs. If they get a lead, we know they can switch and say, all right, we're going to shut it down. We're going to kill this game off. We're not going to let them get a goal. And I think they did a very good job of doing that. And, it's just another positive and a result that I think the team kind of needed. And I think you can see in the pictures after the game, they got a lot of confidence from this result because Columbus hadn't lost in 9 games. They were playing well, and we just put, it was a 6-pointer at the top of the league, where we put 3 more points between us and them, and, kind of taking out some frustration from losing that shootout last year for sure.
Absolutely, yeah. I think it's a little bit of revenge, and I think, definitely this type of match, I don't think we would have seen last year, so there's definitely progression, because I think last year this would have maybe been a draw on the road because we wouldn't be able to see it out. We would have to just continually try to probably outscore them and then be, susceptible at the back. So this is that type of match that, doesn't make a huge statement, but it does make a statement in that, it's one of the teams that is near the top of the table, and we've, gotten a really good result against them. I think that's, something that we weren't maybe able to do against NYCFC, against New York Red Bulls, against Sporting KC, but I think this is a good match to build on against a very strong side.
The other interesting point that we really have to talk about is the fact that this now makes 7 games unbeaten for Atlanta United on the road. They currently have 17 points away from the Bins, which is actually more than they have at the Bins, which is a bit crazy to think. The current record for away points in the season, I think, is 30 or 32, somewhere in that range. Atlanta still have, what, 8, 9 games left on the road? Yeah. They play 17, they've played 5 plus 2, so yeah, so 9? Yeah. So they can absolutely break that with 27 possible points remaining on the road. That's how you really set a marker for points in a season, is if you can go on the road and not lose games. That's also how you win trophies. So hopefully this good away form continues. Long may it continue. But hopefully we can carry a bit of that over to playing at home and start putting up some of those results in front of our home fans, because I know I get a bit frustrated when we lose matches at home. But game against Chicago next week. We'll see how that goes.
And getting into what our players said after the match, Tito Villalba said, "I'm happy, really happy, because these 3 months have been difficult for me. It just seemed to be injury after injury, so that's why I'm really happy to get back on the field, and this game meant a lot for me."
It meant a lot for the team, I think.
Definitely. Yeah.
Getting him back, I think, will definitely signal a full-on switch to a 4-2-3-1. And with him starting on the right-hand side of that, I'm very excited to see that, because I think we'll see a lot more of the football we saw last season.
Right.
A lot more free-flowing, but I think you're going to get a lot more incisiveness and speed out of Barco on the left than what you got out of Assad. Barco, I think, can do a lot more in 1v1 situations without a fullback overlapping because of how talented he is. Whereas Assad definitely needed Garza overlapping to open up that space for him. Barco doesn't need that. Barco, I also think, has a better shot on him. So I think that you'll see him getting some more space, cutting inside onto that right foot and shooting some rockets like we kind of saw in preseason and like we've seen so far this season.
Right, and I think Barco, as a second striker, he tends to have to maybe take on more than he necessarily should, and maybe hold on to the ball a little longer. In which, I mean, he's great at doing, but I think him on the left, he's able to be a little bit more almost free somehow, rather than he can actually come into midfield as what his actual job entails, instead of him being a second striker, where he's not actually a second striker. Where Tito Villalba, like, he's a very good second striker. I feel like he's a good poacher. He's he can make runs at you from deep as well. I mean, that's not that Barco can't, but I think the the different dynamic of both of them is really going to make our wing play just a lot more dynamic.
Well, I think it'll 4-2-3-1. It's a lot more attacking. Obviously, you have 4 out-and-out attackers on the pitch, and I don't think anyone in the league is better playing 4 attackers than Atlanta United if you're playing Barco, Almiron, Villalba, and Martinez. The thing that you have to note about 4-2-3-1 is that both Villalba and Barco, who will start on the left and the right, they're a lot higher and a lot wider as their starting positions.
Right.
So they are a lot more isolated and a lot more space in more one-on-one situations. When you have Tito playing on the right, though, the whole back line has to be aware of everyone, which means more one-on-one situations, more isolation situations, and that really benefits all of our players who attack because they are very fast, very tricky, and very good on the ball. What's interesting, in the 3-5-2, Barco had to waste energy almost to move himself out wide to find space and then come back inside. He'll be starting out there now. He'll be a lot higher and he'll be a lot more of an outlet than he was before. And then he will be able to cut inside onto his right foot, which is what he wants to do, instead of having to go outside, then cut back inside, and then go back outside to find the ball again. So I think 4-2-3-1 really fits the attackers we have. Might put a bit more stress on the defenders, but with the work that both Nagby and Lorenowitz have been doing as the holding midfielders, I'm a bit comfortable with that right now.
Yeah, and I think, you know, especially on the road, I think showing this on the road is very, very strong. Especially since 3-5-2 has worked, I guess, you know, for most of the year as a road formation, but I think, you know, we definitely subverted that thought and, you know, really, I think we'll be seeing a lot more 4-2-3-1 in the future.
It also helps when Brad Guzan is in the form that Brad Guzan is in the form that he is in right now.
For sure.
Because he's absolutely killing it.
And he said on Atlanta United's recent successes against Columbus Crew, he said, "I think as the game went on, we almost kind of said to ourselves, there was a feeling on the field that if we said, if we're going to lose, someone else is going to have to beat us. I don't think I had much to do. 1 or 2 saves, couple crosses. Guys dealt with things in a fantastic way. Tremendous effort tonight. That's the key." Yeah. So Guzan, I think, you know, puts the nail on the head that the defense, you know, LGP, Parkey, Lorenowitz, they really held it down and really limited, you know, what Columbus had to do, but you know, they just weren't clinical as well. So.
Yeah, I mean, also our entire back line picked up a yellow card with the exception of LGP.
Yeah.
Who thought that was a possibility?
Yeah, right.
Not me. And he got to dribble into midfield and got fouled to draw a yellow card. So as far as I'm concerned, he had a great day. And he got to dribble about and play in his own penalty area and almost concede a goal and get away with it. So all good for LGP today in the office. But, I mean, you can see how confident, you know, Guzan is with those guys in front of him. Almost to the degree that he does a very weird English accent after the game when we win. If you haven't seen that video, you should. I would hope he can do one. He lived there for 10 years.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think, you know, he's very comfortable with the players in front of him, even switching to a more attacking formation on the road. And yeah, they had some chances. They didn't do well with them. And yeah, they're playing well. And there's a confidence there. And I think that confidence is growing. Hopefully, now that we've changed formation, like we've said before, that translates into more results, more goals. And I think if Atlanta United can turn that corner, which I believe they absolutely have the talent and the manager to do, it can really start opening up a gap at the top of the table and really show the class difference between them and the rest of the league.
And getting into Atlanta United too, Sean Nicola, he had a banger to draw it level against Charlotte Independence, and it ended up being the final score in that match.
Yeah, it was a good. They don't score a lot of goals at that team, but when they do, they score screamers.
Strictly bangers, yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. But the unfortunate part of that is that it was actually counted as an own goal. So, you know, there's no Sports Center top 10 for that goal, unfortunately.
And
but
what hit off like crossbar post off the keeper's back. Look, he couldn't save it. Just count it.
I know.
I mean,
right?
It was a great goal. I'm not taking anything away from him. It was a fantastic strike. He had the confidence to pull the trigger on it. But hey, it's the point. It's anything for them right now is good, but the confidence they get and the experience they get, that's the important part.
And moving along into our new segment, Josef Martinez, surprise, surprise, wins Goal of the Week with 70% of the vote in Week 15. And it was a great goal. I mean, you know.
Great cross. Honestly, the best part of that goal is the cross, in my opinion. Yeah. The cross from Gressel is absolutely world class. But nominated for Goal of the Week, probably going to win, so mark that off as another win for Atlanta United. However, unfortunately, to get into a bit of an injury report side of things, Josef Martinez is unfortunately questionable for that Wednesday match in the U.S. Open Cup against the Chicago Fire. I don't think he was going to feature anyway, but having a bit of a gap between now and then will help. We'll probably be seeing him wearing a mask for that next home game against Portland.
Indeed, yeah. He, officially has a fracture in his nose. And so, I don't know if you've seen the photos of his swollen face. It's rough. So
he's not happy about it.
Yeah, it's going to be a while, at least for the week, until the swelling goes down, I'm sure. So I think it's good to rest him probably. But if he does play, I mean, it just shows how much of a warrior he really is. But moving on to our next topic, Tito Villalba confirms his efforts in switching from his home country of Argentina to Paraguay. And he also noted that he saw reports that it was because his father is Paraguayan, but he actually said he doesn't know his father and it's because of his mother. So, with those prospects of playing with Miguel Almiron, with Kaku of Red Bulls, he definitely will see more playing time than he would, say for Argentina, because they're just stacked up front, like we've said in previous episodes. But I think that bodes well for him. He will see a lot more international duty.
And Atlanta United are featured in something else of the week, and that would be the Team of the Week. Michael Parkhurst and Jeff Larentowicz are both in the starting 11 for the Team of the Week. Josef Martinez is on the bench, and Tata Martino is the manager.
Yeah, and so week 16, I think because of our nice and tidy win against Columbus Crew, they definitely saw the plaudits for the coaching decisions, for the defensive stoutness. So yeah, good
Seems
stuff.
that's not the only team they're possibly going to be in, though.
Yeah, definitely. It's going to be maybe Atlanta United versus Juventus in the MLS All-Star game this year. I mean, we are essentially leading in pretty much every single category of defenders, goalkeepers, forwards, midfielders, you name it. The only person that's pretty much omitted is probably Greg Garza because of the shoulder injury, so they've, I think, taken him out of the voting. But with Tata Martino as the coach, because the home stadium has their coach be able to be the gaffer, it definitely, I think, helps our case that while there are some very loud fans that are not wanting the players to really play in the All-Star game, get injured, any of that type of stuff, I think with Tata as the manager, our qualms are just a little dampened. I think
he'll take care of them. He'll take care of them. I mean, you might see some of them start, only play 45 minutes.
Yeah.
Some will be on the bench, maybe only come on for a brief cameo just to say that they played. He's going to be thinking probably more about his players than anything else in that game, and I think he'll very much guide them through that match, make sure they're not playing too hard or do anything that could see them hurt themselves. So at least he is the manager, so he will take care of his players.
Agreed. I think with the other you have Don Garber choosing some people as well. If Rooney comes,
Zlatan will start.
Zlatan will start. Yeah, it's part of the optics that MLS probably surely will want to put out there.
Guys, 3 more points on the board. It means in the standings, Atlanta United is still top in both the Supporters Shield and the East. Now, the East, starting to see a little bit of a gap opening up, and that could become even larger if NYCFC kind of drops some points in there. A little bit of a turmoil situation right now with Patrick Vieira leaving. However, in the Supporters Shield, Dallas still have 2 games in hand. I don't know why they have 2 games in hand, but they do. We play them in a few weeks' time in Dallas, so that match will have a lot to do with who stays top of the table when it comes to Supporters Shield.
Yeah, and in terms of any sort of gap, I think you notice Orlando City have lost 6 in a row, and
shame.
Yeah, shame. And if they drop further in the table, well,
that'd be great.
That'd just be fun. And guys, we have a brand new transfer rumor for this week, and we're linked to a midfielder from, you guessed it, Argentina.
Never would have, no clue. Never would have guessed in a million years it was from Argentina.
Yeah, right. And so this one is Eric Remedi of Argentine side Banfield. And he seems like a little bit more of a defensive type of midfielder that can also play center back, and he seems to have a cannon for a left foot as well. But you know, he probably seems to be maybe a replacement for Larry when he maybe eventually moves on. And you know, provides a lot of good depth, maybe one for the future as well. But the terms are apparently already verbally agreed, and it's a $2 million agreement with a sell-on fee that's pretty tight.
Yeah, I mean, for the thing about him is he's very much in the mold of a Carlos Carmona type player. Very physical, loves a great tackle. He definitely is a slide tackle first mentality, which can be a problem at times. You can collect yellow cards and red cards very quickly, sure. But he is very quick into the tackle, loves a good challenge, very physical player. I think he could do very well here. Yep. He hasn't scored any goals for his current club, so if you watch the highlight video, there's mostly just tackles. Yep. But you do see a couple of chances where he unleashes that foot of his, and it's a very powerful strike. We'll see. I trust completely in Tata and in the front office when they go about signing players, and clearly they've had some decent luck when they've signed players from Argentina so far.
Yeah, and so, you know, of course this is all just a transfer rumor as of right now, but it seems like this might be done, and if he does come in, he would really only be eligible until after the transfer window opens, and that's July 10th. So the first game that he would be eligible to play would be against Seattle Sounders on July 15th. So, you know, it's a little bit of time before if this stuff does happen, but it seems like, you know, we're gearing up for the, I guess, longer season ahead, and we'll need definitely some depth behind Jeff Loretowitz, and yeah, so we'll need that. So.
And guys, getting into our question of the day, Atlanta United have been linked with a lot of midfielders, going all the way back to Mbio watch we had a few months ago. However, our question today is, do you think Atlanta United need to sign another midfielder? Currently, I don't think we do. I think we're fine, I think we have depth, and any signings we make would be for the future. But get down in the comments below and let us know what you think.
So guys, that's it for us today. Remember to smash a like, subscribe if you haven't, and share this video because it really does help us a lot. And for Tanner McLeod, I'm AJ. Thank you guys so much for watching.